Have you ever had something random happen in your life that is so incredible? It gives you goosebumps. You cannot explain it, but you know this is not just a coincidence. This was meant to happen. Like that moment when you're thinking about somebody and then suddenly they call you or text you? Strange. Or have you ever found a $20 bill in a parking lot and you needed it because you forgot your wallet at home? Or how about this one? I love it when this happens. You sit down next to a stranger on a train or an airplane, and you end up discovering some magical connection. Holy cow, they work at the company where you're about to interview for your dream job. I mean, talk about meant to be. Or you move into a brand new apartment and you look out the window and there's like a bazillion hummingbirds, and you know this is the right apartment for you because your grandmother died several years ago and she always said she was going to come back as a hummingbird. And there she is as a sign. Goosebumps. Or how about a moment? I had a moment like this once where I was in a children's hospital with our son, Oakley. He was 6 days old and he was about to be wheeled into emergency surgery. And I looked up, and there on the wall was a Winnie the Pooh mural. My husband's name is Christopher Robbins. I got goosebumps, and I knew he'd be okay. Or maybe you've had a goosebump moment that was really profound, and you come back to it over and over again. Like the time you were too sick to go to that party, which meant you weren't in that car that crashed on the way home. What I'm talking about are moments that feel like they were meant to happen. You might not be able to explain them, but you just know it was meant to be. It gives you goosebumps. It's like a little wink from the universe or God or whatever you believe in, that there is, in fact, this positive force that has your back. Well, what if I told you you could learn how to encounter more of these right time at the right place type of moments in your life? In fact, my guest today believes that every human being, yes, you, has a superpower. And that superpower is that you can learn how to create more magic, more moments that give you goosebumps. In fact, there's a word for these moments that can't be explained: synchronicity. We're going to talk about the topic of synchronicity today, what synchronicity is, and how to create more synchronicity in your life. And you want to stick around for this because there is more than meets the eye in this conversation. This is the intersection of psychology, quantum physics, and spirituality. In fact, this year's Nobel Prize for Physics was awarded to 3 physicists for their work in researching how particles that are light years apart still influence one another. And our expert today is going to convince you that you thinking about a friend is what influences your friend to call you out of the blue. You can learn to have your internal thoughts influence your external reality, and we're going to be bringing simple takeaways and the science to prove it to you. I am so excited to introduce you to Dr. Tom Myers, who is an expert on synchronicity. His entire PhD dissertation was on the subject of synchronicity. He's been a professor and researcher for years, and today he is going to teach you everything that you need to know. Dr. Myers is going to break this topic down step by step so that you not only understand it, but more importantly, you can start to tap into the power and magic of synchronicity in your life, because he believes and knows that everybody, including you, has this superpower. And today, he's going to teach you how to tap into it. Dr. Myers, thank you so much for being here.
Great. Nice to be here, Mel.
So, can we just start with the basics? I realize you got a PhD in this, but I want to start at the kindergarten level. What is synchronicity?
Yeah, synchronicity is that point where you have a holy crap, holy shit moment, right? Like, how the heck could this have ever happened? This is happening to me. How do I meet someone on the other side of the world who just happens to be my neighbor, and we're at the same place at the same time? And probably never in a lifetime could I have ever made this happen again, or not me made this happen, but it's happened again. And so it is a moment where you step back like, wait a minute, what just happened? How am I here at this place at this time when this is happening in a way that is coming together, and it's communicating a way that, wow, it's beyond me. It's created goosebumps. It's created this feeling of, wow, there's something out there.
What I find fascinating about your research and the workshops you teach around the world on synchronicity is that you believe that absolutely every human being, there are now 8 billion of us, that we have a superpower and that we can tap into those holy shit moments more in our life.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find fascinating about this, because this could easily be dismissed, oh, that's a holy shit moment, oh, that's woo-woo, I'm not listening to this, is that there's hard science about synchronicity. That in your research, Carl Jung started looking into synchronicities way back in the day. Then physicists got involved. I find it fascinating that last year, the Nobel Prize in Physics, people, was given to somebody who studied quantum entanglement, which is basically about synchronicity and how particles light years away can impact one another, that there are these connections that we can't see. You're basically teaching people around the world that you, using principles of physics and synchronicity, which has been researched for almost a century, that you can teach yourself how to get intentional about your thoughts and your hopes and your dreams. And once you start to get intentional about your thoughts and your hopes and your dreams, you can train yourself to start to spot signs in the outside world that match your internal thoughts, hopes, and dreams.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, yeah, and I'm not a physicist. My focus is on the psychological side. I had to have the physics aspect to explain it, as Carl Jung needed to have that before he went forth with his theory. My focus is how do we become aware of the synchronicities and these events and these things coming together in time. How do we become aware of that, and how do we take advantage of it? That helps to confirm we're on the right path.
Super cool. So Tom, what are the 3 ways that you know you're having a holy shit, this is synchronicity moment?
Yeah. Well, things come up from out of the blue.
Okay.
It's as Jung called it, acausal, meaning it was nothing that you put into action.
Okay.
So an example of, hey, I'm going to, call my buddy or I text them and they get back to me. Like, oh my gosh, like you got back. Well, dude, you just sent me a message. I'm counting, right? But if I am now thinking, acausally, it comes out of the blue, I am thinking about my friend. And just as I'm thinking about my friend, I look down at my phone and there's his text, or he calls me, or I run into him in the grocery store. It's like, whoa, that's a holy crap moment, right?
Got it.
Second part of synchronicity, it is meaningful. It has an impactful meaning to you. It may not be to anyone else, but personally, this circumstance, this coming together in time is meaningful.
Got it. Okay.
And it's at the right time. It's like, I needed this today. This is the exact information that has come to me today, in this moment, in this second. This is exactly what I needed.
Got it. So it's a holy cow moment. If it's out of the blue, it has meaning that creates the holy shit. And then the timing is like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So Dr. Myers, can you tell me the difference between a coincidence and a synchronicity?
Yeah, so a coincidence can be a one-off, happen chance. Yeah, coincidence, I just ran into this person. Okay, great. But did it have a feeling of something deeper, meaningful, that almost a spiritual feel to it? Like, how in the heck could this have ever happened at this right place at the right time?
So a coincidence you can explain away, but a synchronicity has something more magical that you can't put your finger on?
Yeah, here's an example of a coincidence
Okay.
for me, okay? So I'm mowing my lawn, and lo and behold, a blue balloon just happens to float down and land on me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm thinking, okay, what's the meaning of this? What is this about? Is there something there? Is there a synchronicity moment that I'm going to be able, I thought it was weird. to be way out in the country and this blue balloon happen chance just kind of float over and land on me,
Uh-huh.
right? But I thought about it. It's like, no, it was just a freaky coincidence. There's probably a birthday party down the road and it blew over and it landed on me. I can't read into this any more than that. That's it. It's a coincidence.
Okay, can I ask you a question though?
Yes.
But if you were the kind of person whose father loved blue balloons,
Right.
and that blue balloon had incredible meaning for you, and maybe it was even like your dad's birthday today. If that had happened and the blue balloon came down, landed on you on your dad's birthday, he's died, it was his favorite color, he loved balloons, that could be a
Yes,
synchronicity.
absolutely. All of a sudden there's a sign.
Okay.
Because these events have all come together in time. The birthday, dad's death, loves blue. It means something to me.
Got it. So it's more like that it elicits some sort of wonder or goosebumps or sense that this is happening for a reason. There's a message in this. Got it. Do you have an example in your own life of another synchronicity moment?
Yeah. Probably my very existence. And I'll explain it. It's a synchronicity moment.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to 1990, 91. And in my former life, I was a ski racing coach. So in the summertime, we would go to Europe and we would train on the glaciers, ski, setting courses and training our athletes in the glaciers of Switzerland.
Okay.
I meet this other coach from Massachusetts. I'm in Vermont. We start riding up the T-bar and we become friends. We talk, this is great. Let's work together on some stuff. Tell me about your life and your parents. He goes, well, yeah, my mom lives in New York, and my dad unfortunately was killed in a glider accident, a
Wow.
sailplane glider accident, right? Very rare. I said, wait a minute. I know this story. I will finish. So all of a sudden I said, did this happen? Was this the accident that happened in Warren, Vermont? And the poor guy was like, yeah, I had never even heard that story before, how my dad died. So I kind of kind of explained a little bit there. So how do you know this? Well, it just happens my father and his father were best friends.
What?
Yeah. My dad was a ski patrol at Snow Ridge in Turin, New York, and his dad, Roger, was a ski instructor. And they were best buddies, right? So here we are skiing in Switzerland together. My dad and his dad are best friends skiing together in the late 50s, right? Wow, this is mind blowing. Oh my God, how can this happen, right? It gets better.
It gets better?
And Roger introduced my dad to my mom who was visiting, right? So I think, oh my God, without Roger making that introduction, I probably wouldn't be sitting here in this life form as we're today.
Wow. I have a crazy story like that. So when I was a sophomore at Dartmouth, I had been in a relationship for over a year with this amazing, amazing guy. His name is Howie, and just absolutely loved him. I really regret that he met me when I was a complete disaster. So again, thank you, Howie, for all your forgiveness. I had not yet discovered that I had trauma, and I was not diagnosed with anxiety yet. And so he got the worst of Mel Schneeberger, which was my maiden name. But anyway, in the winter of that year, his dad died very tragically. And because his father had died very tragically, there was a bunch of issues financially. And it came into question whether or not Hal and his sister were going to be able to stay in college. And I'll never forget that summer, we were walking across campus because sophomore year at Dartmouth, everybody stays on campus for sophomore summer. And somebody came running out to meet us and said, How, the dean wants to talk to you. And it turns out that an anonymous benefactor had come forward and was paying his tuition and housing and his sister's tuition and housing. So fast forward, That would have been 1988. Fast forward, it's now probably 1995. How and I broke up, go on totally different directions. I meet my now husband, Christopher Robbins, and his best friend is visiting from town. His best friend is visiting. And so his best friend is named Ramey, and he's now Kendall's godfather, just incredible friend of ours. And he invites us to come out to his parents' house in Princeton, New Jersey for the weekend. And so we're sitting there at Ramey's parents' house, and I'm meeting my husband's, like, one of his best friends from high school. And we're talking, and, oh, you went to Dartmouth? Oh, do you know how? And I'm like, do I know him? I freaking dated him for. And so all of a sudden, Ramey's mom nudges the dad and says, I think you should tell her. It was Ramey's parents who had been the anonymous donors, because Ramey's father and Howe's father had worked together at Bristol Myers Squibb when they both lived in Evansville, Indiana. And so all the stars came, and I started obviously sobbing, and so did they. And, that was this incredible, just divine moment in my life.
Wow. Yeah. It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story that you have. It's just, again, this, as you said, that divine piece, there is something there. There's a huge universe that communicates through people and through relationships and through signs, symbols, dreams that is communicating to us. And it kind of has this feeling of, oh my gosh, we're connected to it. So, coincidence?
Absolutely not. Have you ever had something random happen in your life that is so incredible, it gives you goosebumps, you cannot explain it, but this is not just a coincidence. This was meant to happen.